Greetings and welcome to today's webinar from Software AG, ARIS Test Designer, and SAP. My name is Brian Quinn, and I'm the Director of Marketing Operations at Software AG. I will be your host for today's webinar. This session will be recorded, and a link to the recorded version will be emailed to all attendees after the event. At the end of this webinar, we will have a live question and answer session. You can ask a question at any time using the Q&A panel in the Webex console, and we will take all of the questions at the end of the presentation. Our speakers today are Philippe Lame, Manager of Media and Telecommunications at Software AG, and Fabian Stadler, Process Quality Manager at Deutsche Telekom. I would now like to turn the event over to Philippe Lame, our first speaker.
Okay. Hello, everyone. First of all, thanks for joining the webinar. Once more, my name is Philippe Lame. I'm Business Development Manager at Software AG and responsible for the Deutsche Telekom. In the next, let's say 40 or 45 minutes, Mr. Stadler from Deutsche Telekom shows via a system live demo the usage of the ARIS Test Designer within the program One.ERP. One.ERP is a huge international SAP implementation project of the Deutsche Telekom concerning the streams finance, closing, merchandise logistics, production and service logistics, procurement, and human resources. The ARIS Test Designer was developed together with a customer, Deutsche Telekom, especially with the support and expertise of Mr. Stadler. Before I hand over to Mr. Stadler, I would like to make a roughly introduction into the solution process-driven SAP management, included the classification of the ARIS Test Designer. Next slide. This slide gives an overview which topics are covered by the solution process-driven SAP. As a starting point of business process modeling, different sources of reference content could be used and imported to ARIS. On the left, on the top, you can see the SAP redocumentation. That means we have the possibility to log on an existing SAP system and evaluate the activities and transactions by using a timestamp. Also, we have the possibility to use the SAP reference content. For example, using the SAP solution maps coming from the SAP Solution Composer, or the business process repository content out of the SAP Solution Manager, or of course the enterprise service repository also from SAP. Another source is the industry performance ready content. That's on pre-configured content, industry specific content based on the business process repository content. After the finalization of the company's specific business processes, for example, extended with roles, systems, business rules, etc., the process models could be published into the company web via the ARIS Business Publisher. For the configuration, customizing, and documentation, the processes are synchronized via the standard interface into the SAP Solution Manager for the implementation. Using the Test Designer, the solution also supports the test phase. That's the focus of the webinar today, and I think we will jump in detail in the next slides and also in our live demonstration. The template rollout management is also covered by the solution. That means you have the possibility to build up reference content in ARIS, or to build up template processes in ARIS and to synchronize them into SAP Solution Manager. And we use them for the implementations, for example, in different companies or in different countries. The approach also gives the transparency between business and IT, called ARIS Online Guide. By customizing the F1 help within the SAP, it's possible to jump out of the published processes into the transactions of the backend systems and display the occurrence of the transactions within the processes. And of course, by this approach, you have also the possibility to build up a process-based end user training. This slide, the next slide, shows the different interface scenarios of the ARIS Test Designer. On the left side, we see the ARIS platform, also the process models, and in this case, the test cases generated via the ARIS Test Designer. And here you can see we have the connection to the SAP Solution Manager, for example, in an implementation project for the synchronization or in a test project for the tests. And then these processes could be transferred within the SAP Solution Manager into the test workbench. We have also, let's say, a file-based interface into the HP Quality Center. And if you don't want to use any operative testing tools, you have the possibility to generate the test cases and test case description and export them into, let's say, for example, MS Office products. The ARIS Test Designer, you can see here an overview up to which level the Test Designer is used at Deutsche Telekom. On the left side, we see the process models here in an EPC, event-driven process chain. And using the ARIS Test Designer, out of these process models, the Test Designer generates automatically in that case, the two different test cases. And based on these test cases, or by using a customer or a project specific report, the test case description is generated automatically. Also, of course, with attributes which are test relevant, like expected results, test data, test activities, test roles, and maybe like in your convention or project convention, some more attributes. After the test cases and the test case description is generated, at Deutsche Telekom, we synchronize these test cases and test case description into SAP Solution Manager and set up the test cases with different roles in the test workbench in Solution Manager. That was a few slides, a short introduction what the solution covers, which topics are covered, and a classification of the ARIS Test Designer. And then I want to hand over to Mr. Stadler. Mr. Stadler shows in a system live demo and business case how to use the ARIS Test Designer, how to generate the test cases, how to generate the test case description, and how we synchronize these both test cases and descriptions into Solution Manager and work with the test workbench. I think we have one more slide, a technical slide. Sorry for that. Just want to mention that. The ARIS Test Designer is a feature within the tool ARIS Business Architect for SAP in the version 7, Service Release 2. For the generation of the test case descriptions, it is mandatory to have Microsoft Office 2003 or higher. And if you want to synchronize the test cases and the test case descriptions with SAP Solution Manager, there you have to use the version 7.0 or higher, and of course an implementation project in the Solution Manager to build up the test cases. Okay, Fabian, I want to hand over.
Yeah, hello everyone. First of all, I have to say that I'm impressed about the large audience listening tonight, and I want to thank you all for joining us. Let me first spend some words to introduce myself. I'm a process quality manager at Deutsche Telekom in the accounting department, and me and my colleagues, we are responsible for designing, improving and securing processes in accounting and controlling, which means that we have to design, implement and especially test processes for our automated accounting tasks. Today in the live demo, we want to see how the accounting process of the creation of a billing document is modeled in an EPC, and how we can use that EPC to create test cases and test scripts from that using ARIS Test Designer. Our setup is as follows. We have the ARIS Test Designer, which is part of the ARIS Business Architect for SAP, and we have a SAP Solution Manager project initially synchronized with the Test Designer project. What are we now going to see is how to create a test case and a test model using the ARIS Test Designer. We want to see how to create a description for this test case, a test script, in this case in MS Excel format. We want to see how we can synchronize the test case into the SAP Solution Manager blueprint as a scenario. And we want to see how to upload the test script, the test case description into Solution Manager, so we can there use it for building test plans and test packages in the Solution Manager's test workbench. So this scenario is built on how to use Test Designer in combination with the Solution Manager. One has to say that Test Designer can also be used standalone without the Solution Manager integration, but as Deutsche Telekom, we use the Solution Manager as a platform for application lifecycle management and for tests. So it makes sense for us to use Test Designer only in combination with the Solution Manager. Okay, I think we can start in the system with our live demo. Just want to share my desktop to you. And we will start within the Business Architect for SAP that is already installed with the Test Designer. Test Designer is a feature, an add-in to the Business Architect, and you can simply turn it on or off in this bar. As I showed you on the slide, we have picked one accounting process we want to use for our demo scenario, and that is billing document creation through SAP SD. And I will just show you the EPC so you get some context. Okay, that is the EPC. As you can see, it is quite complex with a lot of process interfaces going into the process and being output of the process. Today we just want to see one scenario within this process, and we will use it as our standard test case, our demo test case. For that, we have the Test Designer project that we have already set up. You can set up Test Designer projects either as projects synchronized with Solution Manager or freely defined. I will show you that for a second. We have the project settings of the Test Designer project, where we have the project type that is either Solution Manager, or if we want to create a new one, the user definable format. Okay. We will open our project again, and then, as you can see, it is empty. There's no test case, no test scenario in it. So we now want to try to create a test case. And we can do so by right-clicking on the EPC, pulling it down to the Test Designer project. And, okay, that was not correct, I'm sorry. We first have to create a test object where we can create the test case on. So, we click on Test Designer and create test object, and Test Designer will create a new test object. That is the base for our test case. So we will name it test case number 1, which is creating standard billing document. Now Test Designer has created a new function, a new scenario, and we can define a test path, which is for us a test case within these EPC. As you now can see, the ARIS Test Designer has opened up the model, but you can't change it, and only the starting events or the starting activities are highlighted. So let's zoom into, so we can read what we are clicking, and then we will select our standard test case, which is that we get a request from someone in our department about something that must be invoiced to one of our customers. So we select this as a starting point. It's a request from the department, and Test Designer will protocol all activities we select within the test path. If we meet a process interface, Test Designer will ask us either to step into the assigned model that is assigned to the interface, or to go on with the next activities, which we will do in this case. As you now can see, Test Designer has already highlighted all the following activities and has protocoled the next following activity until it meets an XOR rule. The test analysis, the test designer, so the one that will decide about the test case, now has to take the decision either to process with that path within the model or to go on with that path. Test Designer supports you in creating the test cases, as it only highlights the next following the next logical steps within your test case. So we will select that someone in the department now has to fill in the request, and as it is filled, the system will do an automatic check of the amount. And now within the processes, there are two different alternatives. Either we have a billing document amount that is larger than 100,000 euros, or it is smaller. As that billing amounts are not that often, this is our standard case. So we select the next activity, which is check the billing request on the standard system. This is an automated system activity which can end in two outputs. Either we have to clarify some steps, or we can import the data because everything is clear and it was filled out correctly by the requester. So we select to create billing document, and as you still can see, Test Designer creates a protocol of every activity you have selected within this test case. We'll then select the next steps, going on until the end of our process, and then we still meet, we again meet a process interface, which is archiving of posting documents. And as you can see, we have passed an AND rule And now if we go on with the next steps, you can see that Test Designer takes every activity that is connected to that end rule and puts it into the test case protocol. So now again, there's an XOR rule, so we have to decide whether this is an invoice that is printed and dispatched centrally or decentralized. In this case, we say it's centrally printed and dispatched. And we go on with the next step, which is we have now an open item, open document in the SAP system, which waits for clearing. So in this case, we want to step into the assigned model for that process interface. Now you can see Test Designer has switched from our originating model into the model processing of open items. So the assigned model behind our last activity. And I will now show you how you can combine assigned models with the starting EPC. We select our incoming process interface. Again, say next. Test Designer selects all activities following to that interface, and then we will decide to end our test case with that activity. So now we have now we have the possibility either to step into the next following model, so you can build up process change, so integrated scenarios of more than 1, 2, 3, 5 processes, and you also have the chance to go back into the superior model and then say we want to finish that test case. So this is basically the creation of test cases, and now we'll see what Test Designer has done. First of all, we have a graphical representation of our test path. As you can see, this is a picture of the path we went through, and Test Designer has highlighted all the past activities. Second, we can go to the model that is assigned to this test case, which is just our selected activities, and now we have the possibility by stepping into the attributes and selecting the ARIS Test Designer attributes. We have the possibility to add some information, some instructions to the tester, so later on we can build a test script from our model we built in Test Designer. Okay. As these activities within the assigned model to the test case are variants, we also have the possibility to add this information already in the original EPC. So like in this case, we have already entered some information for the tester. What is the test activity? What does the tester do? What is the expected test result? And we could provide him the information what tester data he has to use. Like in this case, we can tell him what customer record to search for. All these information are saved within the EPC, and in case we create our test cases, Test Designer will copy these information into the test cases, so you have a strong reuse of all models and all the information within the model for your test cases. Okay, for the next step, we want to show you how to create a test script, a test case description from this test model. So therefore, we as a Deutsche Telekom asked Software AG to implement a report that will take all the information we have added to the model and write them into an Excel document that we can provide the tester, so he has all the instructions and he has all the data he needs to execute the test case. I will show you an example. Okay.